Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Glassgirls Network. I'm here with John inside the Glassgirls Network HQ. We're finally back. It's been a little break, we've had a little time out, but yeah, we're back. We've got plenty to discuss here. I'm looking at John's notepad right here, about a million different things written on it. John, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. It's been a tough few weeks as a Stourbridge fan, hasn't it? I think every week something big has happened, and we could have made a video about every one of those bullet points that we've got on this list because it's all big news, isn't it? And it is just like big news followed by big news. But yeah, I think it was about 5 weeks ago that we had that conversation about this one on the screen right here. Different ways that we could potentially get relegated or avoid relegation or something like that. I think what's gone through your head since we've done that video, because ever since we unleashed that video, ever since we done that video, it seems like there's just been statement after statement or something as something massive has happened, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, it feels like the only thing that hasn't really been mentioned is relegation itself, from the club or the league or anything. That seems to still be very much in the air with the situation going on in the Championship and everything that's going on within our league itself. I'm sure we'll speak about it a bit later. Some of the teams in our league doing mad things, but yeah, everything else has not gone all that positively for Stourbridge at the moment. Yeah. Obviously, the ground, I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this already know about the ground situation. It doesn't just affect the women, it affects the men's teams, the youth teams. Everything affects the bar at Stourbridge. Again, we'll talk about it in a bit more depth a bit later, but yeah, it seems like everything is having a negative snowball at the moment.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's keeping me going as such in regards to like the relegation side of things is, yes, we're bottom of the league, but we've still got that hope that we can still finish 11th, and if we finish 11th, if Portsmouth come bottom, we can still maintain survival there. Obviously, it's in the chairman's hands then if things go a different way, but it's still kind of like we've done as much as we can on the pitch to try and secure survival. But yeah, there's so much that's like gone towards that we'll go into now. But I think first of all, if we just have a bit of a shout out to these four people and Ryan Magson.
Yes.
There they are. That's a great photo, by the way. I'm sure Focus done was proud of that one. I'm guessing it was him. Philo and the under-16s obviously won a trophy. I saw her the day after, I think, and I said, "Oh, where's the trophy?" And she's obviously kept it at home for the time being. I'm just walking around with that. Yeah, look at me.
Definitely.
I think that the girl section and Stourbridge Standard has still been that bright spark, hasn't it, this season, and keeping up to date in the group chats with people who have attended the games and saying a lot of positive stuff. The league position, winning this cup here as well. I think just in general, it kind of shows where that's our one bit of success that obviously we've kind of lost a lot of success, this year. Whereas that is still showing what we can do. If you've got the right people involved, and those four people are the right people involved, it shows what you can do. It's not just about the money; it's about having the right people, and that kind of proves, along with Stourbridge Standard, that if you've got the right people involved, you'll reap the rewards.
Yeah, definitely. I think in seasons like this, I think it's important to highlight these success stories that we have because, yeah, with the first team, there's been a lot of negativity throughout the entire season, throughout the year. But yeah, when you've got stories like these four winning this trophy and potentially could do a treble. I think they've still got another cup final to play and obviously looking great for the league as well. Yeah. And then obviously, like you mentioned, Ryan with a very, very successful first year with his standard side. Obviously, I presume we'll both be at the final as well for Best Scott. So yeah, I think it's so important to keep mentioning these positives. And while it looks all doom and gloom with the first team, it's not all that with the section itself. There's still a lot of positive things coming on from that.
Yeah, and get yourself down May the 1st. Besker Stadium, Poundland Stadium, Banksy Stadium. I don't even know what it's called. M5 Junction 9?
Something like that.
Closest one, I think.
I should know.
M6 Junction 9, I think. Yeah. Well, you should know because congratulations on your full-time role. Do you want to give that a bit of a shout out?
I've become a part of the Walsall Foundation, Walsall FC Foundation, which is the official club charity alongside obviously Walsall FC itself. So they do a lot of stuff, within the community of Walsall, going into schools and running football camps during holidays and things like that. And I'm part of the marketing team, just making sure everything gets shouted about the way it deserves to be, because there's a lot of good work going on there. And yeah, really enjoying it.
Oh, brilliant, mate! A full-time job in football, you can't argue with that, can you? And doing social media, what you're good at. So, great stuff, mate.
Thank you.
Let's go on to probably what should be the biggest topic at our kind of level. The manager's leaving. So let's put his face up on screen.
Here he is,
there
Mr. Clements.
He's pointing to someone. He's pointed to you. Look at him. He's pointed to you. He was pointing to me on the first episode, one of the final episodes. He's pointing towards you. I think first of all, what I would like to say is, I think it's important like how we word this. So like some people are saying like he's resigned or he's not staying or he's been sacked or whatever, and you'll read the club statement out in a bit. I've sent you it on your phone.
I'll get it up.
I think the terminology I would use, and I'm not going to say where this has come from, but I would go with the terminology, it's just not extending. So I think the idea for the whole time he's been here was to be here for a year, and then after a year, him and the club would decide, if they'll do another year, if he'll do another year.
Yeah.
And it's probably either a mutual agreement or it might come from Aid, it might come from the club, but he's just not extended. So he's doing his full year. It's been a very tough year, and he's seen it out right until the end. Fingers crossed. With just 2 games left to go, and that's all it is. He's just not extended. So he committed to a year. He's done a year, and that's pretty much as it is. I mean, is that the way you kind of look at it as well, Kieran?
Yeah, I think so. I think the club statement says that he's advised the club of his intention to stand down following the final game, which I think sort of corresponds into what you say. Shout out to Aid. Obviously, came in a very, very tough period for the club, and done everything he can to steer us in the right direction. It also mentions right at the bottom of the statement itself that he's completed the role as a volunteer, which the club are very grateful for, obviously given the financial situation. But potentially not a lot of people knew that, and I think it's important to talk about that because of how well he's done. Off his own back. He doesn't need to do all this. He feels like he's put this time in, but potentially not reaped a whole lot of rewards from it. But I think that's just testament to the type of guy Aid is, and it says a lot about his character.
Yeah, he does, and I think it's like having that tier 3 experience. So he's got that tier 3 experience now, not necessarily for his CV, probably for his own happiness. He's probably strived to be in tier 3 over the 12 years or so that he's been involved in women's football. I can't remember exactly. And now we can say that his ultimate was to obviously be in tier 3, and yes, it might not have worked out results-wise on the pitch, and I think that was always going to be a tough ask after what happened last summer, but he's still done it as well. Any thoughts about maybe where he'll go in the future, or where you'd like to see him go?
I don't know. I think if I was him, I'd have a break after this year.
We've all said the same.
I think he deserves a break. Obviously, like I say, doing this, we're not reaping a whole lot of rewards. He deserves to have his own time. Do things he loves and spend time with his family. If he does stay within football, hopefully he goes somewhere where we saw what he did with Leafield. He kept them going, doing pretty much every role under the sun for that club. So hopefully if he goes into something like that with another club or whatever that might be, as long as he's happy and doing his thing, because he's a great guy and he's a very talented man in what he does. So wherever he goes, hope he's happy.
I think he probably just had just a little bit too much to do in a short amount of time. Without going back over where and just keep it brief, but when so many talented people leave, and you might be really replacing all that talent that's gone with maybe just one person, that was always going to be a tough ask, wasn't it? So like you say, he's done every role under the sun at Leafield. I feel like he's probably done every role under the sun here with Stourbridge as well, but obviously it was a bigger scale, wasn't it? So no, absolutely, all the best, and I hope that he enjoys a bit of a drink at the end of the Nottingham Forest game, which is obviously our next game. So that'll be I'll say a bit of a drink. He probably won't drink, but I don't know. But I hope he just enjoys that evening, because you can kind of, I'll say, wind down. Derby's still to come. in my opinion, is a massive game as well, because that Derby game is winnable, because they're below Calcer and Hull City. They had a real bad pass, so that to me should just be a game to go out there, have fun, and aim to win, because they probably realistically they possibly can. So let's give it a go. But yeah, no, all the best. What's our next slide?
Let's have a look. It is the league table. Look at that. Look at that. What's our point for this one?
Well, we've got a couple of points on this one. Funny we should say that. The points deduction. That's another massive topic.
Yeah.
It's another massive topic. So this came because, and some people didn't even realise this, because obviously the club didn't really shout about it, and I can understand the reason why. But the FA Women's National League broadcasted it, so obviously we'll talk about it. It's out there. The game that should have happened about 2 months ago against Nottingham Forest didn't happen. Stourbridge put a post out saying that players were not fit to play, or unhealthy, or ill, come down with illness, I think it was.
Yeah.
So that led to that game being postponed. So obviously we received a points deduction, which knocked us from 6 points down to 5 points, and a fine as well, £200 or £250 fine. These things happen, and that was a real turbulent time, I think, that week at that point. And I think we've done very well to kind of keep the team together, because as we'll mention a bit later, we did have departures in that week as well. So, but that's what that one is, and we might as well tie it in as well. Bottom two confirmed as well, so we needed to win Halifax, and Halifax also needed to win us to stay up, or to be in the top 10, let's put it that way. And it's just been a bit of a tough time, so I think that 1 point deduction at the time meant so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point deductions, that just morale wise, I think everyone probably thought we're just not getting any luck, are we? We can't get a win, and you're taking a point off us as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit annoying, isn't it? I think, like you say, it came at a crucial time where there was that, even just that slightest spark of we could still do something here, and then to get hit with that sucker punch by the league. And I can understand it. I understand the decision. But yeah, when we're already pretty much down and out, it's just another nail in the coffin, I think. But yeah, like I say, I think it's interesting that not a lot of people knew about it as well. I think I'm someone that appreciates the clarity of the situation, no matter what. So if it's positive or negative, I would just prefer to say it is what it is.
Yeah.
We face this consequence because of these reasons. But yeah, I get it as well. We're going through a very negative time on the pitch and off the pitch as well. So to not add to that, I get why it wasn't shouted about and made a massive deal of.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not really been, because of how many big things are happening, we haven't even really spoken too much as a club or as a fan base about, actually, no matter what happens now, we're not going to finish 10th or above. So in theory, to maintain survival, you need to finish 10th. And that point deduction obviously knocked the wind out of our sails. Calcer has just gone from strength to strength, as we saw first hand in that 5-0 loss. But at that time, we would have had 6 points. They, I think, only had 15 points. We still had to play them. We still had to play Halifax. We still had to play Derby. So there's still like a possibility there. However, that 1 point just made us need 10 points, I think, at that time, and that was obviously never going to happen really. So yeah, I think we have finished inside the relegation zone. Let's just have a quick chat about that, because that's something that we just didn't want at the start of the season. We just said, let's survive. None of this being, finish high up or winning trophies. Let's just survive, because in theory, with the season that we had last year, and with Hull and Calcer coming up, who aren't rich, they're not your Newcastles. I still generally believed we should be staying above those two newly promoted teams, but of the season, it's not happened, has it?
No. I think it was always going to be a massive ask, obviously, going into the season, like the summer that we had. Bringing everyone new in. Did we get all the decisions right? Probably not as a club. Could more have been done? Again, probably as a club. But the table doesn't lie. These teams, especially your teams like Sporting Council that have come up this season and been incredible. We saw that firsthand on Sunday. yeah, so absolutely fair play to them, and you know, Halifax started to put up a little bit of a fight towards the end of the season as well, but slightly too little too late, and then you know your Hulls and Derbys and West Broms that finished above us. Obviously big sides, you know, with established names, and as I say, as I keep saying, you know, it's always going to be tough for us this season. But I think, you know, we've put up a fight. We've had some unlucky times, some games gone for us, some games gone against us. But yeah, you know, the table doesn't lie. We're where we are for a reason, and yeah, hopefully we just go into the summer and see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, as you can see, well, you can't really zoom in, but we got a game in hand. Everybody else has played 21 games, and our game in hand is against top of the league.
Yeah,
you know, you just can't.
It would just be the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It just says it all, doesn't it? And but yeah, massive shout out to Kelsey getting 21 points. Is you know, well done to them. But look where, you know, Derby, obviously doing a better job than us, of course. Hence why they're 10th and not 12th. However, I'd rather be playing Derby last game of the season as opposed to Wolves. So, you know, there is still always that chance to finish 11th. And if you finish 11th, you just never know. If Portsmouth get relegated, it's us that would maintain that Tier 3 status. So we've still got to go for that win, and I genuinely think that we could pull up an upset there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's on the next slide?
Let's have a look.
I can't remember now.
Here we are.
Oh, here we go. Meg Hadley. Yes, so why is Meg Hadley on the screen? It's been that long, hasn't it? So. Yeah. In this awkward period where we had that points deduction and everything else that was going on, Demi Walker left the club, who on the pitch I thought really added to us. I thought she took to us really well. A nice solid centre midfielder, we thought. Lindsay Rossbaker, who she knew from Solihull Moors, also left, and they've both gone to Solihull Sporting. I do know that Demi Walker's had a bit of training at Cheltenham. I think she's even had a game or two coming off the bench, but it's Solihull Sporting that she's been playing for the most. And yeah, so obviously them pair have gone together again now to Solihull Sporting to play for their old manager. So those have left us. But Meg Hadley, for me, I think this needs to be mentioned. I think if the environment was just a bit more happier across the season, she could have been our longest serving player.
Yeah.
You know, you look at her age, I think she's 22, roughly. 21, 22? No, about 22, isn't she? I think she got 75 appearances. So another one season would have pretty much took her to finishing this season, and one more season would have taken her to be a centurion, and there's only been 4 of those. And the likeliness of that happening again, as things are looking, is very slim. So she would have been the one that could have stayed here, and really maybe, like, you know, beat quite a few records there. We know that she knows aid from the past and this, that, and the other. And she left for reasons that we don't need to get into. But like, if she was just a bit more happier, and if the club was maybe a bit more stable, you know, maybe, you know, she would have been the one that we were looking to as like our most capped player. But three losses. I know Lindsay Rossbaker didn't play for us too much this year. I think she had maybe just a couple of 3 games. But Meg Hadley, obviously a massive part of our lives, because she's been with us since Tier 5. I know she left and came back. And Demi Walker had a good few games for us as well, didn't she?
Yeah, definitely. First, I want to touch on Meg. Obviously, I think it's a massive loss. We know Meg's quality. I think she's a Tier 3 level defender, quite comfortably. And yeah, but we know what she's like, and Kenny, her dad, to some extent as well. You know, they're so passionate about the sport, and you know, always trying to better themselves and be, you know, the best version of themselves they can be. So I understand it. I understand the decision to you know, leave when things aren't looking fantastic for us, and you know, you focus on yourself and focus on how you can improve yourself and go again next season. So yeah, fair play to Meg for all that she's done at Stourbridge. I'm sure she's got a very, very promising career in football ahead of her wherever she goes next season. She hasn't officially announced that yet. I know she's been in and around a few places, but nothing confirmed as of yet right now. So yeah, I'm sure she'll absolutely smash it wherever she ends up next season. Again with Demi as well, I really like Demi. I think she added, in a time where we needed something in our midfield, she added it. We talked quite a bit about at the time our midfield being a bit passive, a bit not getting into them and properly fighting for the ball. And Demi brought that. She was a tough tackling midfielder. Didn't really play a whole lot. I think she was brought in around January, maybe even earlier. Earlier than that, I don't know. But didn't play a whole lot. But in the matches that she did play, I was impressed with her. I did like the way that she played, the way she went about her game. I was just going to mention as well Samantha Baker. I don't even know if she'd signed by the time we did our last podcast. So I'm not sure we've even spoken about her.
Maybe not. Well, let's do, because I was going to mention when you said tough tackling midfielder.
Yeah.
That's what you see then.
Yeah, exactly. And we've almost gone like for like, I guess, with Samantha Baker signing, who knows Aid really, really well. And I really like her game as well. Again, she is that tough tackling, on your toes all the time midfielder. And yeah, that's a player that I can appreciate, and she's vocal as well. She knows when things aren't going good enough, when you've got to lift the spirits and stuff like that.
And she's got some leadership qualities as well, hasn't she? And,
definitely.
I think there was a couple of games that I didn't get to that was back to back. It might have been Rugby away or maybe Hull away as well, something around about that time where even though I was losing games, she was playing slightly differently. It was keeping it a lot more tight. I don't know if you went to them games, and all the fans told me this. And that duo, I think them two together, especially with Sam Baker being there as well, kind of tightened things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what we needed, because it was leaking a lot of goals at the time, wasn't we? And it's a shame that obviously just didn't kind of come to fruition, because who knows if them pair could have got a partnership together. You never know. That might have been like your two CDMs, and then Gwen could play up front or not, ahead of them or whatever. But no, it would have been a nice option to keep both together, but it wasn't meant to be. And then we move on to another player. Don't worry, she's not gone. She's not gone. Daisy Clements. What stress she must have been under. We're talking about people's happiness and everything, and don't worry, she's still firmly with us. But yeah, not only is she a player, there's also a daughter of the manager, so she must be feeling so much head stress this season from day one. And I don't think this gets spoken about enough, and I purposely have left it till the end of the season really to kind of mention it. And I've also purposely kept at a bit of a distance, because I didn't want to put her in any awkward positions by speaking about the club and putting her in a position where she needs to speak or all that kind of stuff. But she must have had so much pressure. She's not the captain at all, although people would still see her as one of the leaders. She'll see her last season as well, one of the better players in the squad. And it'll be interesting to see how her career develops next year. But just your thoughts on Daisy Clements before I'll put the reason why we're talking about Daisy.
Yeah, I think what you say is really important to mention. It's such an interesting dynamic to have a player being coached by their dad. You don't see that hardly ever. So I can't imagine what that's like. It must be weird. Like, in the house, do you even speak about football?
I don't know. I'd love to know that.
Or is football like a banned subject at the dinner table and stuff like that?
Well, I've got people who I work with in retail who are partners, and they say what they'll do is they'll speak to each other for like 10-15 minutes about the work.
Yeah.
Get out the system, and then as soon as they have the evening meal, that's it. Then it's like you don't talk about it again. You talk about normal stuff, and I'm sure on the journeys home, if they share a car, which I was guessing they do, they have to talk about it, because it's so on your mind. You have to talk about it, but then you've got to have some downtime as well, haven't you? Surely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, definitely.
Yeah,
and one that confuses me.
It's gotta be tough. It's gotta be tough.
But yeah, Daisy's been fantastic this season. I think one of our standout players. Again, a player that, in my opinion, has tier 3 quality. So it will be interesting to see where she goes next season. Does she follow Aid to wherever he may end up? Does she stick around at a Cowser or somewhere in the local area? Because I definitely think she has the potential to do that. Or does she drop lower, like I'm sure we're going to mention? Obviously, being dual reg recently at Rugby Borough, I think we missed a game. The week we didn't have a game for whatever reason.
Yeah, she played,
and she played a game there, obviously maintaining the fitness and trying to get them up the league as well because they're doing amazing things over at.
Yeah.
I think I felt like I just said Rugby Borough. I meant Redditch Borough.
Redditch Borough,
Yeah, Redditch Borough.
Oh,
definitely
you can't play for Rugby Borough.
Yeah,
no way.
No. Definitely Redditch Borough. She was at. So yeah, obviously Dave Healy, the manager that we know there. Doing really, really good things. Looking like I believe they're going to win their league.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. They won Crusaders, didn't they, last week?
Yeah.
So great result for them and a great signing for them. And Dave Healy has got some talented players there. I spoke about this on another channel. You know, you've got Katie Box in goal. You've got Grace Murphy, who started the season with us as well. Catherine Pagan.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't seen much of her at Stourbridge, have we? But you know, she was training with us for a little while and still comes on as a sub every now and again as well. So yeah, I think it helps because it also elongates her season because the regional leagues carry on until mid-May. So and obviously they know Dave Healy from the past as well, and it's on a doorstep because I believe that she lives in Redditch area as well. So it's all roundabout. It ticks a lot of boxes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. But best of luck.
I think it just also hammers home that point that I make to a lot of people that potentially don't really understand, especially the women's game as much as potentially we do. When people say, for example, why is Mill Rogers dropped down to Tier 5 to go and play for Kidderminster Harriers? Why is Zoe Clark done that? These players with clear quality, and Daisy has got a Redditch Borough Tier 6, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's close to where she lives. It's a place where she knows people. She knows Dave Healy. She knows Murphy, Grace Murphy. It's a place where she can be happy and win a few games of football because she hasn't done that in a while. You know,
give a bit of confidence.
Exactly, the confidence of the girls in our squad right now must be on the floor. So to go and play at an easier level, an easier standard, just go and do it. Bag a few goals, enjoy your football. That's what you're there to do, isn't it? Football's there to have fun in, and not to feel down and out all the time. And I think fair play to her for doing it, to be honest.
I think this is a conversation that we'll definitely have in the next podcast because there's so much more I want to say on this subject. But I think you've kind of whet the appetite, so let's see if other people cotton on to what I'm thinking as well. What would be a good thing going forward for other people. I will say this. You mentioned would Daisy now follow Aid into another role? And I think this is it's a bit of a crossroad now for Daisy because if Aid does take a bit of time away, Daisy's got to think to herself, okay, do I follow my ability, which is Tier 3, Tier 4 minimum?
Yeah.
Or do I go where my dad goes, which is probably going to be Tier 4 again, but there's not too many vacancies around at the moment in Tier 4. Obviously, Sutton Coldfield we know is without a manager over the summer. There might be some movement, absolutely. But if I was Daisy, I would be looking at, okay, well, what Tier 3 teams want me first?
Yeah.
And then be looking at Tier 4. And, she might level out a Tier 4, no problem. Or she might want to be a regular starter, which might mean Tier 4. Or she might end up as a squad player in Tier 3, where she's fighting for a place a little bit more. But it is a bit of a crossroads for Daisy now, and she's probably got a bit to think about, hasn't she? But we're talking about if she's leaving, you never know, she might stay.
Yeah,
you never know. I guess we'll see, won't we? Next photo.
Let's
I
go.
don't even know.
Let's go. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
here we go.
I'll let you start this one.
Yeah.
So what we got on screen?
So here on screen we have the Jane Webb Memorial Trophy advert, which has gone out on social medias. I'm sure a few of you have probably seen it all over the Stourbridge social medias recently. It's basically Stourbridge old boys, they call themselves, basically a team of ex-Stourbridge players who play a combined 11 from the West Midlands teams, Wolves, Albion, Villa, all the teams in the local area, and they play at the Memorial Athletic Ground, and their game is Sunday the 27th of April, which is a date that might spring to mind for some of the women's fans, because that is the last game of the season for the girls, which means this game is happening there, which in turn means that the women will not be playing at the Memorial Ground. I don't believe it's been officially stated anywhere.
No.
So yeah, we don't really have a clear idea of where the last game derby is being played, but it won't be at home basically.
Yeah, I think I was fuming, to be fair, when I first saw this, because Stourbridge never announced it, or Stourbridge FC Women never announced it, so we just had to put two and two together like we do pretty much all season. And I think if I had done a podcast, if I had done this right then, I think I would have been a lot more, red-faced and a little bit more raging. And the amount of voice notes and messages and group chats that I sent this out to, because, and to be fair, other people's getting it as well, because we've all linked, we all follow the same teams, don't we? I get it. I get it because it's a charity thing. I do get it, but surely there's another weekend, another Sunday, where you're not clashing with a women's game. And I don't care how many fans we've got down there, you just don't, in my opinion, cut off your women's last game of the season for a charity game. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's been other games, other Sundays, where there's been no games that you would choose. So it shouldn't even be a thought. You wouldn't do it with the men's side, so why would you do it with the women's side? So yeah, like I say, I've calmed down now, and I've just said my opinion there. But to me, I can see perfectly why players, managers, coaches at Stourbridge, especially the women's section, that would be very unhappy with that as a send-off. Because your send-off game now could be played at Bromsgrove, a college, anywhere.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't. It's just not good at all, is it? So, great that they have this, they have it every year, great, but why on earth would you choose that day? It's just for me, I don't get it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's been a whole lot of thought gone into it. Like as you say, surely there's another weekend where that could have been done.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a disappointing one more than anything. Obviously, people make the argument, John, I know you've had people talk to you about the reasons why this is more beneficial to host rather than the women's
But it shouldn't be a competition, no, that's the thing. No. It shouldn't even come to, do we have that or that?
Yeah.
Have them both on a different weekend.
Yeah.
That's more.
Yeah, but I think what people say as well, we've seen the attendances this season.
Yeah.
People say this is going to draw more money to the club, obviously more money to the charity itself.
And
it's a fair point, it's a valid point as well. However, for me, it's about the sentiment of it. What we've built as a club to get up to tier 3 and play these big teams, your Nottingham Forest, your Wolves, your Newcastles, all of these. Everything that we've built through the past 5 years has amounted to this moment, and this is the final send-off for a long, long while, from what I can see, that we're going to have at this level in this tier. So, and that's not even mentioning the fact it's definitely A's last game. It's definitely going to be some of the girls' last game. So to have the final game of tier 3 being hosted in a place where we don't even know, but not home that we've known it to be for the past 3 years. It's disappointing more than anything.
A lot of the neutrals are saying it as well, and this is the thing. So yeah, you can say that, like, obviously we're very defensive of the women's side, but seriously, the amount of messages that was coming back to me when this was tweeted, it's not just Stourbridge fans saying it. We've got our rivals feeling sorry for us this season, and that's bad, isn't it, really, when your rivals feel sorry for you. But yeah, and also when this actually got announced, it was never actually announced that our last game wasn't going to be playing at the War Memorial. It's just that we put 2 and 2 together by the dates. That derby game could have still meant something at that point.
Yeah.
It could have been like the fact that we needed to win that game to stay up, because at that time we wasn't officially relegated. So imagine that, having to play all that way away on your final game of the season, where you might have to draw or win. I don't know. It just didn't quite sit right, does it? But away from that, it will be a great occasion. So get yourself there.
Yeah,
we've advertised
all the
it.
best.
All
the best to everyone. If you can get down and you're not feeling like you want to travel to wherever we end up playing, obviously go down and support. Raising money for Mary Stevens Hospice, which is a fantastic cause. But yeah, should we move on to what we have next? Another depressing little tale.
God,
the story
best
of
till last.
Yeah,
Almost.
The story of the ground. Again, something that's done the rounds on social media plenty recently. The ground as a whole. obviously there has been murmurs for a lot of years now of the ground not being in a fit condition, and if you've seen sort of behind where, if you can see on the TV here, behind the shed and behind the stand here, which this photo is taken in, the entire behind of it is hanging off a cliff face pretty much. It is unsafe. They've had both of those sections cornered off for a number of games now. So yeah, it's a really, really scary time for the club as a whole, because I don't feel like anyone really knows what's going to happen. Obviously, the council, you would have thought, could help us, but they don't seem to be doing anything, as Dudley Council often do with their sports teams in the local area. So what does that mean for Stourbridge? Is it moving to a new location permanently? Is it ground sharing for a while with every team, with and that's men's team, women's team, junior teams? Are they ground sharing? Are they moving to a new place? No one knows for certain, I don't think. And it's a scary one. It's definitely a scary situation to be in.
It's awkward at this point, isn't it? Because we talk a lot about obviously the women's side, and we talk about the minute details in these videos, and that's kind of a 1% thing that's probably going through the chairman's and the board's mind at the moment, because obviously this supersedes anything. If you can't play your home games at home, and it could be get to a point where the only places that will have us or that we can afford means that we have to drop in league status, again, men's and women's team. You might have to drop league status. This is not going to cost 10 grand. This is going to cost close to like £1 million to do, so you need funding for that. I believe the council won't give the funding for a sports club if your lease is below 10 years. I could be wrong there, guys, but this is kind of what I've heard there, so that goes against our favour there as well. This is just like a massive issue, and it's one thing having a lease that was running out in like 7 years or so, but when it needs upgraded and you need £1 million, I don't care if I had £1 million, I wouldn't put my own money into it, because it's leased. It's not going to your own property, is it? You're putting money into somebody else's ground, aren't you? So I get it, and you need massive help, and there's a lot of positive retweets when Stourbridge went out, and hopefully there's someone out there that can obviously massively help us, because I'm not saying it's going to be the end of Stourbridge, but it's certainly pausing the current Stourbridge. We don't know what the new Stourbridge is going to look like, do we? So what are you kind of hearing on like the men's side of things as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much exactly what you've just said. It's very much still up in the air. If it is voluntary relegation, where does that put us? What does that mean for the future of the club? Obviously, the manager Liam McDonald signed on a 2-year deal. He wasn't expected to play a step below where he knows Stourbridge were initially. What does that mean for them? What does that mean for the players? The whole thing is like I say, it's a scary scenario. I think the best outcome currently is that somehow money is pumped into the club. They can get this sorted as quick as possible. Potentially we ground share for a season, and we go back to old ways after that. As I think the minimum that everyone wants right now is there to be a future for Stourbridge Football Club, and I say that on all fronts, men's and women's teams. Obviously the men's team get a load of support, and they've had a load of support from everyone about this cause. Everyone in the area loves the men's team, and obviously wants them to do well, but the women's team as well. Obviously we know they're a lot less of a money maker, so potentially in people's minds that puts them below other teams and other streams of income. So I think especially for the women's team, as long as there is something going on next season, whether that's tier 4, tier 5, lower, as long as there's something going on and it means that women and girls in the local area can play football and have that opportunity to play football for a Stourbridge club, I think that's the ideal outcome for me.
thoroughly agree with that. And just bringing it back to the women's section very briefly, that could be why, again, we mentioned about potentially going to Tier 5. We've advertised for a new manager. Does that manager yet know what tier we'll be in?
Yeah.
Because even if he's a Tier 4, he or she's a Tier 4 manager, which is where we're likely to be next year in regards to the way that the league looks at the moment. If we're a Tier 4 team, if we can bring in a Tier 4 manager who can bring in Tier 4 players, then obviously you'd like to be in a Tier 4 league, wouldn't you? However, if we can't physically play in a Tier 4 stadium without paying a load of money to rent elsewhere, then with all the money that's going on that we're losing because of this, and because of the men's side that'll lose money as well, I'm not surprised if we end up in Tier 5 or even lower. There's potential. If you mingle the two teams together, Stourbridge Standard and Stourbridge First, that will probably save money somewhere. We don't know about the academy side just yet, the women's academy. So again, it might just be one team, streamline it as much as you possibly can, then build when we've actually got a home to go to, maybe. But either way, it's very, very sad that we had 4 very successful women's teams, and we could now just end up with one in one of the lowest leagues possible, isn't it? So it is sad, but obviously that there isn't anything about footballing abilities, and that there is just about the stadium that we've leased for several years that needs a massive repair work.
Yeah, it's very sad. Obviously, a lot of history over 150 years at that ground. A lot of football being played there. A lot of memories that we both have there. Obviously, I'm going to the last men's game on Easter Monday. That's against Bromsgrove. It's going to be an emotional one, really, because who knows when we'll be back in there again for a men's team match, or even a match in general, because obviously the women's game is being played the day before that. So it's going to be strange. It's going to be strange watching Stourbridge play somewhere else. But as long as they are playing somewhere else, and as long as they're making positive strides to get this place back or develop somewhere new or whatever that might be, hopefully it's good, hopefully it's positive,
So just to reiterate that our last home game isn't going to be against Derby, so don't go waiting for your last home game after we've said this. Oh yeah, I really want to support last game of the season, let's go down to watch them play at Warmore against Derby. It's not happening.
No.
Come down Easter Sunday against Forest, and it'll be probably a promotion party for Nottingham Forest as well. And it's sausage and cider fest.
Exactly.
So we got it all going on.
Yes, get your sausages and your ciders.
Yeah. So hopefully the weather stays nice as well. So come down and support on the last game of the season, men's and women's, of course.
Yeah, brilliant.
And lastly,
there we go.
Hull City Ladies. Why have we got a Hull City Ladies badge on here? Well, it may or may not directly impact Stourbridge, and I don't think it probably will, but a statement went out from a Hull City Ladies player about 2 or 3 days ago. I retweeted it. Try not to think too much of it, even though I was reading it, but you do get these statements from time to time from players who are very unhappy with what's going on at the club, and you always have to praise, I guess, someone who's speaking out. And it was Hope Knight who basically said a few things. Is it true? Is it not? It's not up to us to say. But the statements are on there about one of their co-owners, Danny Johnson. So I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to be flipping sued by anyone. But all I'm doing is repeating what's on social media anyway. But check it out because the co-owner has retaliated. So because he's not happy with what's being said from his players this week, he has requested voluntary relegation as a punishment to these players who have survived in Tier 3. Wow. So what does that mean? Well, what that would also mean is if Portsmouth have to get relegated, that's one team being reprieved. If Hull end up getting relegated, we're still going to be one team too short. So could both relegated teams
not this conversation all over again?
And it could happen, even though I think the fairest way, even though it'll relegate Stourbridge, is to then reprieve the 11th place team in the south.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the fairest way. Why should the 12th place in the north take priority over 11th place in the south? I don't think it should. However, who knows? And it also might mean that Cheltenham would then move up to the north, which would then aggravate all their players and the team because they can't afford their players to travel from the south all the way up to the north because they'd have to pay twice as much expenses. Yeah. So watch your space. As things stand, I think it's unlikely that the FA will accept this because Hull City ladies are co-owned. It's independent from Hull's men's team. This is what I've been saying all season. Their budget isn't like just because it's attached to a men's side. It's not. It's independently run by two people, and only one person at the moment has said that they want to drop basically a voluntary relegation. So I think until the other person says it as well, I don't think it's going to happen. And even if they do, the FA still have to approve it, and it might be too short notice as well. Who knows? So we know all about these deadlines for voluntary relegation. So let's see. But it's big news, and I don't want to get into the ins and outs of it just yet because there's loads of allegedly this that and that the other happened. But check it out because it's a sad story if it becomes true, and it might be. So let's check that one out. But we are going to finish on a bit of I'll say a high note. It's a bit of a nice thing that one of our former players is doing.
Yeah.
Hannah Fishwick. Thoughts on what she's getting up to? So she's going for a little run.
Yeah, she's just a little run. Yeah, so obviously Hannah Fishwick, who we know very, very well. Obviously, a lot of people watching this will know her really, really well from the time she spent at Stourbridge. An amazing person on and off the pitch. One of the nicest people that we probably have met through football. I met up with her at the Calcer game. She was there.
I missed her.
Had a great conversation with her.
I miss Lindsay Glove at the Halifax game. Why do people not tell me that? They're doing it on purpose. They're not telling me.
But so her friend Jack, who is the fella in the middle, he's been recently diagnosed with lymphoma cancer, which is obviously very, very heartbreaking to hear. So Hannah and her friends, John, I believe you know the names off the top of my head.
Well, Abby Jenham and Abby Kerry are two that I definitely know of because they've been tagged and do some tweets themselves. Birmingham Academy days, that's where I guess they all know each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a thing that I would love everyone to get behind and donate to. If you're not going to donate yourself, just at least talk about it, retweet it. Just get behind these things. And I know sometimes it's awkward because every month, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month, you see a GoFundMe page, and I get it because I can't contribute to all of them. But if you can, just share it or just donate a little because this is the form of Glassgirl doing something really nice. So let's get behind it.
Yeah, just for the details as well, it says in May, me and my friends will be completing the journey from Solihull to Villa Park, which, if you do the maths, is a fair distance. So yeah, make sure you get behind that. We'll leave a link in the description as well. So if you can drop any money, I'm sure that'll be greatly appreciated from the girls. And I believe, John, that's your clipboard gone through.
Flipping out. 10 points plus Hannah. Yeah, there's so much that's gone on, and if we was a channel that went. We could have gone literally live every night for the past month.
Yeah.
We could have had guests on from the past, some from the present. We could have done so much because there's so many massive talking points there. I mean, our manager saying that them leaving for a start. I mean, that deserved a whole show and thumbnail and everything just in itself. And we had the pleasure of having a bit of a photo with Aid at the last home game. Just to obviously wish him all the best, but that in itself is huge for a women's team because we all know now very well when the manager leaves, your players are leaving. So even forget all the stuff that we spoke about regarding the stadium and everything and what potential tier we end up in. When your manager leaves, your player leaves as well. So we're going to get a brand new team next year in some capacity, I would have thought. So how that's going to look in itself is massive, and just every bullet point there is just huge.
Yeah.
And other teams, and we've been very blessed because we've been quite stable up until maybe 18 months ago when Andy Fisher left. But even then, we still had a bit of stability. This season has just ripped out stability whatsoever, and it's going to probably get worse before it gets better, perhaps.
Again, like we keep saying, as long as there's something going on next season and there's an opportunity to watch football, women's football in Stourbridge, and for that to keep going in some capacity, I think is a job well done, to be honest, because I think it's very easy for everyone to down tools and say, you know what, that's us now. We've done our time. But yeah, as long as there's something going on, as long as we keep fighting and keep working towards the club getting back to what it was, then yeah, we're gonna be all right. Hopefully.
Yeah. So Forest on Sunday. Look forward to that one. Meet up with a few
fun
people.
videos come in.
Yeah, I think so. We've got the supporters club, Ollie, who we chat to and we've spoken to for probably about 3 years now. He's doing a great job over at Nottingham Forest, and he's building up the fan base there as much as he could possibly do, and I think he's doing a lot of good things, and that's a club that will go from strength to strength, and that fan base will grow. So it's great. It'll be great to see him. I don't know if Chris Gadsby's going to be there because he's doing he commentates for the BBC, I believe, and for ice hockey, which may clash. But it'd be great if Chris Gadsby could come down. Radio Kevin's coming down, Swiss Sport Radio, and of course all the fun and laughter with the sausage and cider fest, because let's be honest, we all have our food on a match day. So yeah, and even there's rumours about the chippy being open as well. I don't know where I've heard that one.
Okay.
I've heard that one. So that chip place, my favourite, will be open as well. We're here. So yeah, I think we need to give Aid and the players a bit of a send off that they deserve.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's wrap it up there, Keith.
Let's wrap it up there. Yeah, if you're not at Nottingham Forest, what are you doing? If you are, we'll see you there. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.